Fresh off their biggest win in over 20 years, the Dallas Cowboys have a new test on the docket as Week 11 of the NFL season is here. The Kansas City Chiefs and a ruckus Arrowhead Stadium are there in Week 11, and it's going to really be a prove-it week for the Dallas Cowboys, and we are proving it again week after week here on Special Edition with three former Cowboys, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton as well. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and gentlemen, it was a 43-3 beatdown. And by beatdown, I mean beatdown of the Atlanta Falcons, one of the more impressive wins the Cowboys have had in quite some time. Well, they did it from beginning to end at AT&T Stadium. So you guys have all been a part of beatdown wins like that. So what can a win like that do for the momentum of the locker room moving forward?
Yeah, it can do a whole lot. I mean, this is a character-identifying game for these guys. You needed all three facets of the game to show up, and they did just that. Offensively, we could do whatever we wanted. Zeke got going. We were throwing touchdowns all over the place. Defensively, we got 3 interceptions. Special teams, we got punt block. We showed up, did what we wanted to do, and we needed that going into a high-powered game like Kansas City this week.
Yeah, I think this further validates that the week against the Denver Broncos was just a bump in the road. When this team can do all that in these 3 phases, when they can be that dominant in 3 phases, they're going to be extremely tough out come playoff times, and hopefully that game can get this momentum going to this tough game against Kansas City this week.
You know, I really agree with that, Barry. That was a bump in the road against Denver, but it shows this team that if they focus and galvanize themselves on one goal, that they can be something special, boy, and going in the Arrowhead, boy, it's going to be dynamite.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and break down that Atlanta win first. And the Cowboys offense putting up 40 points for the 3rd time in the 2021 season. But they did it without really a magnitude of stats. So how did they accomplish another 40-burger against the Falcons?
I think just playing smart ball. I mean, they got back to being who they were, their identity. Fast, physical, and smart. These guys didn't make a bunch of mistakes. These guys came out intent on obviously enforcing their will. And then they executed well in all 3 facets of the game.
Yeah, the offense was clicking on all cylinders, and Dak Prescott got back to his efficient ways. And more importantly, what happened there, they were able to dominate time of possession. They were also able to dominate 3rd down. And when this offense is able to do that, they're extremely tough to beat. So hopefully they can keep that going forward against Kansas City.
You know, they had 2 guys on offense that we was looking at. It was Patterson and it was the young tight end, Pitts. And once we got those guys settled down, man, and our offense got to rolling, we fixed our red zones problems there. As you see with Zeke, everything's okay, and they ready to go.
And CeeDee Lamb had another explosion as well, became the first Cowboys player with 10 receiving touchdowns in his first 25 games of his career. What has he been doing so well, and was the addition of Michael Gallup a big factor in his game?
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Gallup showing up is everything for this offense. We've talked about it in recent weeks. You know, CeeDee Lamb gets the opportunity to move from the outside now down to the slot. So now he was down, I think, 70% of the snaps on the inside there, and that allows him to get to the 3rd best cornerback for their team. And we know that there's no 3rd cornerback in this league that can handle CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. CeeDee, he definitely played one of his better games throughout the season. He was dominating, making plays up and down the field. And like you said, Isaiah, I think when Kellen Moore moves CeeDee Lamb around, you put him on the outside, you put him in the slot, you do some pre-snap motion there going around, it's hard for defenses to focus in on him, and it's hard for them to get their best cover guy on him, and that's when he does his most damage.
You know, I forgot how good Michael Gallup was. You know, that brought the 2nd corner to him. That brings the 3rd to CeeDee. And like you said, Isaiah, who can cover him? He's special, man. And he gets to wipe his nose a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He definitely did. He had that swagger in the game.
Yeah.
Now, so did the defense. 3 interceptions, just 3 points allowed. Barry, we'll start with you since you are the defender. What did they do so well that shut down guys like Pitts and Patterson and Matt Ryan?
Well, the defense, the secondary, and the defense as a whole played a really good game out there, and they were able to affect Matt Ryan. And that had me a little nervous at first because I wasn't sure, without Randy Gregory, how this team was going to go ahead and affect Matt Ryan. But they were able to have an extremely solid pass rush. You combine that with sticky coverage in the back end, and they were able to frustrate Matt Ryan. Take the ball away 3 times, and the defense had one of its better performances of the season.
Yeah, they were sticky, all right. They're just like that fly sticky paper. And that's exactly what they needed to do. They stayed in the hip pocket of these guys, and that's when you're able to get pressure like they did on Matt Ryan. You know, obviously you have opportunities up in the air.
Yeah, you definitely do. And, well, Kansas City's going to try and get some opportunities on that Cowboys offense. The Honey Badger is back, and he's been playing exceptionally well. Can this Kansas City defense slow down the Dallas Cowboys offense, who have been red hot as of late? We talk about that next.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army. Doing the most good. And by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the new Gem 7 scratch tickets. There's a Gem 7 scratch ticket for everyone, so play today.
Before he was a league MVP and a Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes called East Texas his home, and he called the Dallas Cowboys his childhood favorite team as an avid fan of the Cowboys east of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Well, this week he gets his first shot at his childhood favorite team, and well, he's already made a name for himself in the NFL. Safe to say, MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and then also Super Bowl champion. He's one of the best that have ever done it, and he's only 26 years old. So I ask you guys, it hasn't been the greatest season for Patrick Mahomes this year, but why is he still so dangerous?
He's still dangerous because what his history says he is. He still has all his weapons. I mean, beginning of the year, things were rough. Seemingly, it would be rough for any quarterback who had 5 brand new offensive linemen. That's exactly what he has. So for those first 6 games, he struggled. But guess what? Ever since then, he's starting to pick up the pieces, and he still has all these weapons. So now you're giving him protection, and you still have Hill and Harden, all these other guys out there. He is catching on fire. It's unfortunate that he caught on fire right before we started to play these guys.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, even though he's having a down year, he's still extremely dangerous out there. He can make all the throws in the pocket, outside the pocket, and if you don't get pressure on this guy, I don't care who you got in the secondary, it's going to be a long afternoon. So the Cowboys, they're definitely going to have to bring their A game, or this has an opportunity to be a track meet come Sunday.
You know, it took him, 4 games to figure out that they wasn't giving him the long ball anymore. So they found a way to get Tariq Hill and Kelsey and all these guys the ball underneath. And, you know, Isaiah was showing me film before this, so I'm a little nervous now because this kid is grown up and matured on a whole lot of different ways.
Yeah, 8th matchup in NFL history with 2 quarterbacks with 20-plus touchdowns in Week 11 or later in the season. So who has he been throwing those touchdowns to? Well, Tyreek Hill is certainly one of those, along with Travis Kelce. This duo is as good as the Cowboys have faced this year. What did they do well, and how are they going to challenge the Cowboys defense?
They keep you on your toes. There's no right way to guard these guys. I mean, if you play man-to-man coverage against either one of these, you're going to get taken advantage of. If you try to play zone and he actually has protection to sit back there and throw, they find the holes in your coverage. So that's the challenging part about this. If you decide to double one guy, the other guy's going to kill you. So what do you do, Dan Quinn? I don't know. I'm waiting to see.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. This is one of the toughest duos we're going to have to play against. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill, who can take the top off of any secondary. He's a big play waiting to happen. And then you got Travis Kelce, who all he does is catch first down passes and move the chains game in and game out. So this defense is definitely going to have a tough task handling these two. But if we're able to get pressure on Pat Mahomes, it could make things a little easier.
We have a big nickel package. We have a small nickel package. We have like several different schemes. And what Coach got to do, Coach Quinn got to do, is just find which package works the best and roll the dice, and let's see how it goes.
Roll the dice and hope it works out against the Chiefs offense. Now, the Chiefs defense has certainly played better over their 3-game win streak entering this one, but at the same time, Tyrann Mathieu and company haven't had the best of years. So I ask you, Barry, is there a defensive weak spot for this Kansas City team that Dallas can take advantage of?
I would have to say their secondary. And it's pretty strong with Mahomes or with Tyrann Mathieu out there and Juan Thornhill, but their secondary isn't as strong as their D-line. I feel like Chris Jones up the middle, he presents a problem for us, as well as Frank Clark on the edge. But if we're able to handle those two, I think Dak Prescott is able to take advantage of this Kansas City defense.
I agree. I think we need to be able to take advantage of these guys on the edges in terms of their cornerbacks. I think their safeties are actually relatively strong. Interior D linemen, they're pretty strong as well. They went and got some help in the form of Ingram coming over from Pittsburgh. So we definitely need to establish a running game, but our receivers should have a great day on the outside.
Yeah, it don't matter how many yards we get. What's going to be big for us is can we get positive yards. We don't need any negative yards. We have to have positive yards. That way the play action pass can get us to those corners and hurt them like that.
Going to have to find a way to maybe have a little bit of a misdirection and get everybody involved on that Cowboys offense, much like the Chiefs will try and do on the defensive side as well. Should be a fun matchup there. And, hey, guess what? We're not done breaking it down. Isaiah hits the film when we come back and breaks down how the Cowboys can stop that man right there.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you.
Welcome back into Special Edition and welcome into the film room as Isaiah Stanback breaks it all down. Cowboys and Chiefs coming up this Sunday, and both teams do some really good things in the red zone, and really Patrick Mahomes has done it that way his entire career. Andy Reid has played a huge factor into that as well, but also it's really the weapons and the choices that Kansas City has on offense.
These guys have a lot of weapons. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. These guys have a lot of things. So you really have to be disciplined on the defensive side of the ball. Dan Quinn has a heck of a task in terms of making sure that his guys are confident in trusting their assignments. What you don't want to do is go chasing these guys individually when you're forced with man-to-man coverage. So right here, you guys will see Desmond Trufant right here. He has his eyes all in the backfield. That's not what you want to do against these guys. Recognize that when guess what? You have this zone here. This is your zone. You also have help on the inside. You have a man right here. So if Tyreek Hill decides to run his route in here, don't chase him. Trust that your guy, he's going to go to the next zone. You have help. But guess what? He does not do that. Tyreek Hill does a heck of a job running a nice little slant route, takes it back to the corner for an easy touchdown here just because of his skill set. 1, 2, 3, runs a slant, boom, right here. Again, pause it for me right there. As soon as he runs that fake slant right there, his eyes go here. Tyreek says, thank you very much. I'm going to take that to the corner route. And on the backside, these guys like to run a lot of over routes. So just in case this guy decides to play really good defense and take that, you're coming right behind them. It's really difficult to guard these guys, but again, you have to trust your help and make sure that you're not chasing ghosts.
It's pretty amazing how much room was in that corner of the end zone whenever Hill was even starting his break to go backwards. His head was in the complete opposite direction, but he was still able to get there in time. Now, on the other side of things, they, once again, like you said, those back end routes that they have back and forth, they do that on multiple occasions, and a lot of times they do it at the goal line.
Yeah, these guys are trying to get to the corner of the end zone. So let's just go ahead and just say that right off the bat. So again, the same spot that my guy KY was just pointing out, that's where they're trying to get to. That's why these guys overload this side of the field with how many guys? 1, 2, 3 guys. They want to pull all your defense over here so that they can get this guy, the cheetah, to run a track meet right across the field. These guys are going to try to draw the attention of these guys front side with a little play action. Okay, these guys are both diving in, which allows you to get behind them. That's where we have to be disciplined and be sure that, again, we trust our keys. Let your defensive linemen do what they do. Don't do what these guys do in terms of getting bit up here. Look at these guys looking. These guys have a two-way go. If they want to come up, then he's throwing right behind here to Hill. If these guys decide to go back, then he's simply going to trot into the end zone. It's really difficult. Dan Quinn, we need some help.
Gotta find a way to avoid leaving that much space for guys like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce to work out with. And if they do it, maybe the Cowboys come out on top in Week 11. The Cowboys got to find a way to slow down that fast arsenal of weapons. Isaiah Stanback just laid it out for Dan Quinn. Hopefully he's watching. When we come back, why does this block of wood mean so much to two teams that don't even play in the same NFL conference? We'll talk about it next on Special Edition.
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
Created in 1998, the historic connection of the Preston Road Trophy dates all the way back to the days of the Dallas Texans.
Well, even though it's not a division game, it's not even a conference game, it's always a big game for our family. And that really goes back to the late 1950s when my dad was trying to get a professional football team to play in Dallas. And he went to the NFL, and the NFL told him, hey, we're not expanding. Dallas is a horrible market for pro football. It'll never work. And so after being turned down several times, including trying to buy some franchises to move here, he finally developed the idea that, hey, I'll just start my own league. And that's what he did in 1960 with the start of the American Football League. His team was the Dallas Texans. The NFL, who up to that point had encouraged him to go start his own league, believe it or not, changed course. The first thing they did was put a team in Dallas, and that was the Dallas Cowboys. Clint Murkison was the owner, and really the Cowboys' job was to put the Texans out of business. the end of the '62 season, my dad decided to move the Texans to Kansas City, where they were renamed the Chiefs, and we've been there for 55 years since.
We call our team Mid-America's team. We represent Kansas, Missouri, the western half of Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Iowa.
By the time we got to the end of the 90s, Jerry had bought a house on Preston Road. And my dad also lived on Preston Road, and they were literally almost across the street from each other. The idea popped into his head, hey, I'm going to create a friendly competition with Jerry. Every time the Cowboys and the Chiefs play, we'll have a trophy called the Preston Road Trophy, and whoever wins the game gets to keep the Preston Road Trophy. The trophy is very modest to say the least. It's made from an old piece of wood and has a sign on it that says Preston Road.
I'll never forget the pride, genuine pride that Lamar had when he came down in his apartment there at the stadium and had all kinds of memorabilia all around the apartment, but he brought that trophy that really looked like a birdhouse in my mind, but it was a work of art. And he brought that down and he said, from here on out, this will go to the champion of Preston Road.
It's traveled back and forth between the winner of that game here for the last 20 years.
Whoever won the game got to keep the trophy. Now, just to show you how serious about it, I had some friends that I'd planned to have for dinner one night, and Kansas City had the trophy. Lamar had it over at his house. So I called and asked him if I might come by, and I wanted to tell the story of the Preston Road Trophy and show my friends. He said, well, you know, Jerry, I don't know. That's really not the spirit of the thing I had in mind. The winner gets to keep this. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll set it in the front window, and you and your friends can drive by and take a look at it.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. Special edition presented by AT&T was brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Lots of first in Week 11 of the NFL season. It's the first time for Dak Prescott and this rendition of the Cowboys team to go to Arrowhead Stadium. It's the first time for Patrick Mahomes against the Cowboys, his childhood favorite team. And you could really mark this down as the first test of knowing exactly where this Cowboys team is and how they could stand up against a Super Bowl contender. Because even going back to Week 1, you didn't really know what the Cowboys had in store this season. Now you know. If they want to win the Super Bowl, if they want to make a run like that, they're going to have to beat teams like Kansas City. So lots on the line this week up in Kansas City. Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nate, what's your key for the Cowboys to get a win in a big game like this?
Our offensive line has to play exceptionally well this week because they have a guy in Frank Clark, who's an outside linebacker who can rush the passer real well. But what really concerns me is Chris Jones in the middle. He is 6'5". He's probably about 320 pounds. He's got long arms. He's a great player, and I'm just worried about our guard and center situation versus that. So our offensive line has to play exceptionally well.
I'm going to go ahead and go with our third down conversion rate. Right now, we're sitting at about 46% conversion, and that's not going to get it done against Kansas City. The last thing we want to do is give Patrick Mahomes and company more opportunities to have opportunity to score points. So what do we have to do in order to keep those guys off the field? Continue to move the chains. And we have not been great on third down. We've been great on fourth down, but we don't want to try our luck on that one this week, because if we don't convert those things, then obviously these guys have great field position.
I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball. And D-line, we're definitely going to have to get pressure on Pat Mahomes. We're going to have to make things hard for him. I know we don't have Randy Gregory. I know we don't have Tank Lawrence out there. But we get guys like Dorrance Armstrong, Golston, who's in the middle, Odigizua. We got to have guys like that step up and make things hard for Mahomes out there. there. If not, it has the opportunity to be a track meet. Hopefully we can get there just rushing 4, to let this rest of this defense cover underneath, but we got to get pressure on Mahomes in order to be successful.
Cowboys, believe it or not, have won 3 of the last 4 meetings with Kansas City. It's the first meeting since back in 2017 and the 12th all-time bout between the Chiefs and the Cowboys Sunday afternoon. For our entire crew here on Special Edition, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.